In this practice, we'll be looking at the full range of movement, the flexibility in the shoulder joint in a very balanced way. You won't need any props. We'll be focused on shoulder flexibility in movements such as flexion and extension and abduction and adduction of the shoulder. We'll start in tabletop position. In all fours, tuck your toes under. Look at the eyes of the elbow, the inside of the elbow. Draw the eyes of the elbows facing each other. Now turn the eyes of the elbows so that they're pointed maybe toward the index finger. Turn the eyes of the elbows to face one another and come to downward facing dog. And see how that feels for you. This is an exploration. Some of us benefit from eyes of the elbows turning out, externally rotating. So look at the eyes of the elbows, externally rotate them. See how that feels. Or internally rotate to see how that feels. Just compare and contrast in your downward facing dog. Come back to all fours and sit down. Extend your right arm forward. Take it back, draw the shoulder back, reach up. For some of us, that may contract the neck muscles. So find out if, as you take your arm forward, reach it way forward like you're trying to grab something. Now take it up. And if it feels like the shoulder is too close to the ear, see if you can draw down away from the ear. Find that sweet spot for yourself in these actions. Now try that with the left arm. Take your left arm forward, spread your fingers so that you engage the muscles of the arm nicely. Draw back, take your arm up. Notice how it might feel a little constricted in the movement, a little bit harder to reach for some of us. Now do the opposite, reach way forward and take your arm up, and maybe again you feel like this is too much for you. So draw the shoulder down so you have a little bit more spaciousness there in the neck area. Release your hands. Now discover for yourself in half sun salute what works for you. Typically we take the arms out and up. In this case, just try taking the arms forward and up to see if you gain more freedom in the action. Standing in Utkatasana, reach your hands forward, spread your fingers, reach up. Exhale, come down. Take your hands to your shin bones, slide up and look forward. Exhale, draw down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, take your hands in front of your heart. Instead of taking the arms wide and reach up, take your arms slightly forward, reach up. Exhale, draw down. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, draw down. Inhale, reach up and back. Take your hands right in front of your heart. Release your hands down. Take your arms up. Exhale, draw down. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, soften. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands in front of your heart. Just notice any differences you feel as you change the arm position to protract, to reach forward and up. Exhale, come down. Inhale with wide arms, you're retracting the shoulder blades in toward each other. Exhale, take your hands in front of your heart. Inhale, arms up in protraction. Exhale, down. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, draw down. Inhale, retract the shoulder blades in toward each other and reach up. Exhale, hands in front of your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, come down. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, draw down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands in front of your heart. At the front of your mat, reach up and back. Exhale, come down to the mat and step the right foot back. Take your right knee down. Take your hands right on top of the left leg. Reach your right arm forward, and in the same way we've been doing, see if you can extend it way forward, this protraction of the shoulder. Reach your right arm up. Just open up nicely. If you feel like you've taken the hand just a little bit too far in this movement, just draw your shoulder down. Release your hand. Step your back foot forward. Step your left foot back. Bring your knee down. Hands to the top of the knee. Balance yourself before taking the left arm forward and reach way forward. Take your arm up and now draw the shoulder down slightly. Enjoy nice action in the shoulder. This is shoulder inflection. Release your hand down. Step your left foot forward. Take your right foot back. Bring the knee down. Hands to the top of the left knee. Now, you be the judge. If you take the head of the arm bone back to retract the shoulder blades in toward the midline and your arm up, just notice how that feels. Now do the opposite. Just reach as far as possible. Rise up, lift the right arm up. And now see if you can retract just slightly once you're in the full pose. Release your hand down. Step your back foot forward. Take your left foot back. Knee down, hands to the top of the right knee. Balance yourself. Take your left arm forward and just customize on this side. It could be different one side compared to the other. First, draw back. Shoulder blades hug in before reaching your left arm up. Or reach your left arm way forward and take the shoulder inflection. Reach your arm up. Now adjust. If it feels like the shoulder's too close to the left ear, draw the shoulder blade down slightly. Release your hands down. Come to all fours position with your pelvis right over your knees, your toes tucked under. Step your hands a giant step forward. And in this half dog pose, or they often call it puppy dog pose, step your right hand right in the middle of your stance. Take your left hand on top of it. Press your hands down, bend your elbows slightly so that now your head can draw between your upper arms. Keep a nice engagement of the arms as you find fullness in the breath. And rise up and change position so that the left hand is in the middle of the handstands. The right hand is on top. Slight bend to the elbows so that you have room for your head to release. You keep the elbows lifted. You're pressing the hands. You're pulling from the fingertips toward the shoulders to keep a nice engagement. Now take your forearms down to the mat. Place your hands in a prayer position. Have your elbows placed slightly narrower than your shoulder blades are. Press your hands in toward each other. Lift your knees up. And rather than walking your feet toward your hands, as we often do, get this nice long stance. Keep on pressing the forearms down. Look forward slightly. Feel the shoulders retract in toward each other. And draw your knees down to the mat. Now come to a crescent lunge. Have your right foot forward. Take your left foot back. Come to your pose. Then we'll work with a little external rotation of one arm and internal rotation, abduction and adduction of the shoulders. With the left leg back, the right foot forward, take your left arm up with the shoulder in flexion, bend your elbow and just pat your back with your left hand. Take your right arm behind you, internally rotate that arm. With the back of the hand pressing the back body, create a nice length on the left side. Reach your left elbow up. Press your hands back. We're not binding here. We're just using the hands on the back to create just a little bit more fullness in our pose. You can release your hands and step your back foot forward. Take your right foot back. Come to a crescent lunge again, a high lunge. With the right leg back, take your right arm up. Take the right hand right between the shoulder blades or on the upper back. Take your left hand back, internally rotate it. With the back of the hand pressing on the left hand, the right hand pressing the upper back. Keep reaching up from the right armpit to the elbow. Find this nice fullness in your pose. And release your hands. Step your back foot forward. Come to a wide stance on your mat. In the wide stance, as if coming to downward facing dog, take your hands down to the floor or the mat. Thread your right hand under your left armpit. Take your right hand to the left leg. Bend the right leg. As as you pull the outer shin of the left leg, the right knee bends and the right elbow bends. So you get this nice feeling of length through the side body. Keep that. Extend your right hand forward. Thread your left hand to the outer right leg. Bend your left elbow. Reach the elbow down. Keep the right armpit lifted. Release your left hand to the mat. Heel toe your feet toward each other. Take your hands to your hips and rise up. We'll come to a chair pose with a variation. Bend your knees with your feet hip distance apart. Keep a strong action of your legs as you reach your arms forward. Unlike other chair poses that we've done, reach your hands way forward. So in this variation, you're getting a nice hip workout, but the shoulders are protracting. You're really reaching forward. The back body is getting full. You're drawing from the pubic bone to the navel, navel back, so that you've got a strong engagement from the pelvis down. Keep a nice fullness to the breath. It's almost like doing cat pose with this fullness. You're really protracting the shoulder blades. And now take the hands back to the knees. On the in-breath, do the opposite. You're retracting the shoulder blades in toward each other. And exhale, reach your arms forward again. Take the hands right above the knees. Shoulders protract, heads of the arm bones draw back. Lift your chest. Now come to a wide stance again. Step wide. Interlace your fingers behind your back. For some of us, interlacing the fingers behind the back doesn't work so well. So if you imagine that you're holding onto a strap with your palms facing forward, holding onto that imaginary strap, almost like you're trying to break it in half so that you get a nice action in shoulders and extension. Or fingers interlaced, bring those of us with fingers interlaced, bring your wrist creases toward each other, bow forward slightly, bend your knees slightly. Now, once you have the position, fingers interlaced, bowing forward, with the wrist creases toward each other, pressing toward each other. Now imagine that you're trying to take the arms apart. You're trying to pull away, even as you're drawing yourself deeper into the pose. So you're working the shoulder extension as much as possible. Release your hands and come to sit in any way that works for you. Take your arms forward. Take your right elbow underneath the left. Keep your elbows lifted. Draw your hands toward each other. Maybe you can take your hands together. If that doesn't work for you, you can keep your hands apart. Now take the hands over toward the left side as you take your right ear toward your right shoulder. Try to keep the elbows lifted. You keep reaching your elbows forward as the right ear draws to the right shoulder. Now release out of the pose. Take your arms up again, bend your elbows. Left elbow comes under the right. Either the hands come together or they don't. You reach the elbows forward. So once again, you're doing a lot of shoulder protraction here. Draw your hands to the right as you take your left ear toward your left shoulder. And lift your hands up. Release your hands and come to lie on your belly. Take your arms in cactus pose. Take your right hand a little bit higher so the elbow is bent. Park your left hand like it's a kickstand and roll over toward the right side. So your elbow's bent on your right side. You're getting a nice stretch to the pec major, pec minor. Pressing your right elbow in and release out of the pose. Come to that cactus pose again with both arms. Lift your elbows up a little bit higher than the shoulders. Roll over to your left side. You can stack your legs. If you want to do any variations, like take your right leg back, feel free to do that. But in this practice, we're primarily focusing on the shoulder actions. So any variations with the legs are fine. But keep your left elbow pressing firmly. Release now, come back to your belly. To lift yourself up and roll over to your back. Bend your knees once on your back. With your feet hip distance apart, knees bent, press your elbows down. Lift your chest, lift your pelvis. Come to a bridge pose that works for you. I like having the palms face each other. If you prefer interlacing your fingers with the shoulders in extension, of course, you can do that. Just feel like this is a little bit easier for the neck before going into Savasana. Keep a nice engagement to the legs. Nice fullness to the upper chest. A strong engagement as the head presses back to open the throat. You can release your pelvis down to the mat as you're ready and release your arms and legs to come to Savasana. In this practice, we did a nice balanced action, taking the shoulders exploring the movement of the shoulders, exploring the muscles that control those movements. Now is your time to just release. The legs, but certainly the arms, with the palms facing up. Allow the shoulders to draw back. Allow your arms to feel completely supported. Breathe freely and naturally. Thank you for joining the practice where we discover this full movement of the muscles that support our shoulder actions. Namaste.